All right, guys. Doing some review for the mid-season functions here. A little extra practice getting you prepared for tomorrow. We are given a standard form equation there, and you have to convert it to slope-intercept form. So let's see. What I did here first is I subtracted 4x from both sides because we want y by itself on the left, right? Because y equals mx plus b. So basically, we're solving for y. Subtract 4x from both sides. That gave me negative 6y is equal to negative 4x plus 48. And then I divided every part by negative 6. So careful here. We have negative 4 and negative 6 there. And those two things happen there. It turns positive because a negative divided by negative is positive, and then 4, 6 reduces to 2/3. 48 divided by negative 6 is negative 8, and that's our y-intercept. The slope is 2/3, okay, as we can see directly from the slope-intercept there, 2/3. X-intercept and y-intercept, the point of standard form is that you can just plug in 0 for y here and solve for x, and that gives you the x-intercept, 12, 0. And then over here, same thing, you can plug in 0 for x and solve for y, and that gives you the y-intercept. And that y-intercept of 0, negative 8 should be the same as we have here in our slope-intercept. So it checks out. E, we are putting it in point slope form. And we don't really have a table to choose from here. So our points that we had available were limited. But we do know the x and y-intercept at least, right? It's 12, 0 and 0, negative 8. So you do have a couple points that lie on this line. And you do have the slope 2/3. I just happened to choose the point 12, 0. So I put in 12 for x here, 0 for y there, and 2/3 in for the m. So that would be an acceptable point slope there. For F, all we were looking for was just to show it graphically. I would encourage you to make sure that you can draw this. If you go Desmos, it's fine. But you would start with that y-intercept of negative 8. And with your slope of 2/3, all I did was I rose 2 and ran 3. Rose 2 and ran 3. And then just connected the dots, and I had my line there. For number 2, we're looking at negative 12x plus 6y equals 24. And that is in standard, and we need to convert it to slope-intercept as well. Same thing as above applies. We are basically just solving for y. We want to get it in y equals mx plus b form. So what I did was I added 12x to both sides to begin, and then divided each side by 6. 12 divided by 6 is 2. That's where the 2x comes from. 24 divided by 6 is 4. That's where the 4 comes from. And we have our slope-intercept right there, 2x plus 4. The slope can be determined directly from the slope-intercept form. So our slope is 2. Our x-intercept, we would have to use our standard form, which was provided, negative 12x plus 6y, that guy up there. Just throw in 0 for y and solve for x. So your x-intercept ends up being x equals negative 2. So your x-intercept is negative 2, 0. The y-intercept, you could solve for it algebraically like we did up above. But I was hoping by now that you would have determined the shortcut and just saw that, hey, the y-intercept is actually present in slope-intercept form. So the y-intercept is just 0, 4. F, a little more detailed here. You need to demonstrate in each of the 6 mathematical representations. Actually, I think I only had 5 there. Actually 4. Tabular, graphical, mapping, and ordered pairs. Here's my table. I created a table. How did I do that? Well, I know the 0th term is 4. I took that from the y-intercept. So I started with that, and I knew the common difference was 2. Pattern stuff, right? And I just added 2 each time to get to each subsequent term for second and third terms. Same thing, I graphed it. Looking like I'm rising 2, running 1, rising 2, running 1, and that is with a slope of 2, so it checks out. My mapping just shows that this is a function. The 0th term is 4, the first term is 6. We don't have any doubling up there, so it is a function. And then our ordered pairs as so, 0, 4, 1, 6, 2, 8, and 3, 10. Lastly, on part G, and this is going to be a big part of your midterm tomorrow, you're going to have to do this. So make sure that you study up on how to determine the slope algebraically. I just chose 1 and 6 and 3 and 10. You could have gone 0, 4, and 3, 10, 1 and 6 and 3, 10. It doesn't matter. I did y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. That is solving for the slope algebraically. Plugged in accordingly, 10 minus 6 over 3 minus 1 is 4 over 2, and that reduces to 2. It checks out. The slope is 2. The common difference is 2. The slope up here is 2. The slope over here is 2. It all checks out. It should all be the same. Okay, on number 3, they give us slope-intercept form, and we want to convert that to standard. Okay, and you're definitely going to have to do that tomorrow as well. So what I did was I got x and y on the same side by subtracting 5x from both sides, multiplied through by -1 to get the leading term positive. 5x minus y is equal to -8 is going to be your standard form. M equals 5. Again, that just comes directly from the y equals mx plus b form. So you know your slope is 5. My x-intercept, again, I'm just plugging in 0 for y into standard form. That's the most direct way to find your x-intercept. It's not pretty, but your x-intercept is -8/5, 0. And again, your y-intercept is 0.8. Just pull that directly from your slope-intercept. Plus 8 is your 0th term, or your y-intercept, right? So your y-intercept is 0.8. Down here, you had to do point-slope form. I like to make a table before going to point-slope form. So what I did here was I started with my 0th term of 8, and I just created the pattern here. The first term would be 13, second term is 18 because I'm adding 5 each time. That's my common difference. That's my slope. Looks like I chose the point 2, 18. I plugged in 2 for x1, 18 for y1, and that would be one acceptable form of point slope form for this given line. Excuse me. All right, finally, we have y equals -3/4 x plus 15. Your first task was to convert this to standard form. When you put this in standard form, you're going to want to get rid of the fractions, which is why I multiplied through by 4 first. When I multiply through by 4, that gives me 4y. The 4's here actually end up canceling, right? So I just end up with -3x, and then 4 times 15 is 60. Added my 3x over to the left, so I had x and y on the same side, and we are in good shape. 3x plus 4y equals 60. Again, my slope is -3/4, which just comes directly from my slope-intercept form. My x-intercept, I'm going to plug in 0 for y and solve for x, and that gives me the x-intercept of 20, 0. And then my y-intercept, 0.15, once again, just comes directly from the slope-intercept form that was provided. And that's about it. Make sure that you guys follow that rubric. Go back and study your mid-season functions test that you took. You're going to do great on this final. You got it. Midterm.